the Chiefs respond with the big hits of their own.
Now,
Good Chiefs support at the stadium today.
let's go! News, views, and behind-the-scenes chats from Sandy Park. This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Rhino and Bentos.
Welcome to No.2. It's the second podcast. They've let us come back, Bentos. Can you believe it?
I'm over the moon and really excited about that. I'll be honest, there was quite a lot of people stopped me at the club last week and said they really enjoyed the podcast. I don't think it was me or you, I think it was Stino, but
Obviously, of course.
Nonetheless, we're here again and we're going to put the world to rights with regards to rugby.
This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast.
Let's get cracking on what's happening at the club at the moment then, because the great thing of having you here, Bentos,
Yes.
is you know what's going on, and you may not know officially what's going on in the changing room, or you can't tell us, but you've been there and you've experienced it. So I'm seeing media at the moment of kind of people challenging the position of two losses on the bounce. To someone like Rob Baxter, who's leading the team, what's being said? Does it matter? And do they get concerned at this stage? Because I know we all really kind of hoped they were going to smash Sale, didn't we?
I think we were expecting to do well against Sale, but we knew it was a challenge. You've got to take. I wouldn't take it in isolation. I'd look at the Saracens first and foremost. And Rob was brilliant after that when he said it's first versus second in the league. We always win close or lose close. It's never a big game either way. But for one or two decisions, we'd have won that. So let's not get dented by that and roll on. We're still second in the league. We've gone to Sale. They haven't lost at home since April this year. They're just on the back of beating Leicester at Leicester, so they're burning pretty hot. They've not lost too many players to internationals. I thought Josh Beaumont might have been the key. I thought him being maintained by England could have hurt us, could have helped us, but it didn't. They just about edged the game. And having seen the highlights and listened to the game on Radio Devon, it was a very fortuitous try at the end of the first half where Danny Cipriani's kicked a snap-drop goal. It's hit the post. Had it have gone a yard in either direction, we'd have fielded it. It didn't. Mike Haley didn't break stride, caught the ball, ran under the posts, and from a really good half, 10-0 playing into the elements, it was 17-0, and we ended up losing narrow. So
These two losses back to back really are quite frustrating. Should we talk about that try, the Saracens game?
which try at the Saracens?
Or the
game?
one that we should have had?
We can do.
I know you like to, you know, in rugby you like to be positive and stuff, but as a fan watching that was...
It was frustrating, but that was as
frustrating.
much down to the Sandy Park atmosphere as a referee making a bad decision. When you look at the replays, he blew his whistle as soon as he thought he'd seen a knock-on. As soon as he'd blown the whistle, that's it, the game is dead. You can't then refer to a TMO after the fact. So, ostensibly, that was that. He blew his whistle. If you watch on a wider angle, I've had the benefit to do that. A couple of the Saracens players actually ease up. I think Ollie Atkins would have scored the try. There wasn't a knock-on. He should have given it, but the ref made the call. Let it go. The referees are human. They're fallible. Sometimes they make mistakes. In that occasion, he made a mistake. I was fortunate to be running the hospitality with the players, and after the game, I straight away said, it's a bad call by the referee. We should have won the game. All of the guys said, actually, we were profligate on our try line later in the game. We gave away 5 penalties in succession until Saracens managed to push us over for a maul. And that was more the issue than the referee's decision.
So this is why it's great having you involved in this and co-hosting it, because you get that honest, different opinion. And
I'll be honest with you. It shows the evolution that the Chiefs have made, because when I was playing, I'd have come off the pitch screaming the referee was terrible, I hate the referees, they're all to blame. Now I'm a bit older, I'm a bit more mellow, I realise that it's not the referee's fault, it happens. But it was interesting to see the demeanour of the players of the current generation who want to take the game beyond the referee. There's no discussion of it's the refs at fault, let's find somebody to blame. You control the controllables, you do what you can, and if you make mistakes on your try line, give away 5 penalties in succession against the top team in the league, they're going to punish you.
Well, let's hold that thought on the referee, because you and I are both at the networking breakfast at Sandy Park last week, and Rob Hunter was talking. There were some really, really interesting points covered off by him, obviously the forwards coach. Yeah. So we'll come back to that. Let's continue with the position that the Chiefs see themselves in. So second, 41 points, Leicester on 34.
You see,
is there much to worry about?
No, everyone's kicking up saying we've lost 2 on the bounce. In the grand scheme, it's actually really good, because this weekend just gone, Saracens' points difference has been absolutely decimated because Wasps did a number on them. Leicester beneath us lost, Quins beneath us lost. So in the top 4, we've actually gained a point on those around us. And in the grand scheme, we now go to London. Our next 3 games, we play 2 of the bottom 4 at home. We play London Irish away. We play Bath at home.
And it's interesting to say so for Bath to be bottom four. I mean, what's happened this season, in your opinion, looking on there?
I don't know. I get the feeling there's a fallout from Sam Burgess. I think that they had a really good six in Carl Fearns, who was doing very well for Bath, was tearing up trees, was a Premiership performer. Sam Burgess comes along, hotly tipped, £500,000 transfer fee, dropped into the team, and he goes straight into play with very little pedigree in rugby union. And Carl Fearns leaves. He's gone to Lyon in France. He's tearing up trees in the Pau d'Ida. And I think you look at Bath this year, they've signed 3 number 8s in the season. So if you're a guy at that club, you're going, well, what's the go here? Is the club going to look out for me, or are they just going to sign a player if I have a few off days? I'm speaking completely off my own opinion. I'm not from Bath. I don't know anything that's going on at Bath. I'm just looking from the outside and saying, well, there's something wrong in the culture, because they were a top team last year. And I think you've also got to say some of their senior players were probably dented by the World Cup. There was a lot of criticism thrown at a few of the Bath players during that World Cup period as well.
There's no harm having a view as a rugby man, and that's all we're looking for.
It's a tough spot to be. But for me, you look at the Premiership, everyone's as big, as tall, as fast, as fit, as strong as one another. So the differentiating factor is invariably top 2 inches, mental condition. You could argue that perhaps some of the bigger squads, or some of the more lost profitable squads, Saracens are £45 million in debt, but they've got a massive squad. So when they get injuries, they can chuck players in.
This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast.
So you've turned up not dressed in kind of work clothes because you have a proper job now. Where have you been? And you've pulled these ladies to come with you to talk about where you've been.
Well, I mean, we could get that out of the way first and foremost, because I know Alison does like a plug. For my sins, I do a lot of networking with the rugby club, but you should really replace the networking with not working. We sort of go to events, get fed, people speak. And Alison was discussing the Exeter Leukemia Fund and some fundraising events, and one of them was the Rock Solid race. And me being myself, sort of puffed my chest and said, yeah, I used to be a former professional rugby player. There's nothing I can't do. He didn't realise I'm 6'6" and 19 stone, pure muscle. Alison sort of played on that and said, why don't you come and do the Rock Solid race? We're doing the 5k distance. And me being me said, well, it's 5k, I've heard there's 15, let's do that.
Good luck with that.
I then did my research and realised that is actually further than I've ever run in my life. And it's over obstacles, and it's in really deep mud, and it's really cold.
Where is this? Woodbury.
Where is it, Alison?
It's at Escott Park.
Escott Park, and it's in about a month's time. It's the Saturday before we play Northampton.
This sounds like sheer hell, like the Commando Challenge.
I would say, genuinely, it's a bit worse. If you look on Rock Solid, Google Rock Solid race, it looks bonkers. And I genuinely have realised that I've probably bitten off a bit more than I can chew.
Well, I'll cheer you on from Twitter. Alison, do you want to tell us a bit about it? Can people still register for this?
Yes, they can. And if they register for Exeter Leukemia Fund, they can have a place for free if they raise a certain amount of money for us, and also join our free boot camps. And we're really desperate for people to join us, because after looking at Ben Toss's boot camp tonight, we really need some talent on our team. His press-ups were awful.
I'll be honest, at least you've referred to it in the plural. I was just saying press-up. So one, rest. One, rest.
So yeah, we have got loads of spaces left at the 5, 10 or 15k distance, and people can do it for free for us, or they can pay to do it and raise some money for us. You get a free t-shirt, you can come along to our boot camp, and there's even cakes for people that take part of Exeter Leukemia Fund. And you'll know that you're raising money for a fantastic charity that supports people locally who are affected by blood cancers and blood disorders.
You're listening to the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Rhino and Bentos. Still to come.
He was ordering me around the field at 32 years of age with 100 odd games for the club. They have a huge amount of data that they crunch through. So look into an opponent's game, they will have 1,050 or so clips of an opponent's game every line up. Will he put on Twitter, how do I change my Wikipedia age?
Exeter Chiefs podcast.
Going back to England, obviously Jack Nowell getting picked and appearing to be a bit of a favourite of Eddie Jones. I heard, was it Jonathan Davis or maybe Clive Woodward saying, it'd be great when Slade comes back. Yeah. So he's now being mentioned as just assumptively in the team. I mean, is that the feeling that Slade's got, that the communication he's getting, or can we not talk about that?
I don't know. I'm not that close to the England camp. What I do know is that in absence, Slade's value has gone through the roof. that other people have had a go and not really done what Henry can do. He gives a kicking option. He's big and strong, so he can take the ball to the line. He's a cracking distributor. He can slot in at 10. He can play 12. He can play 13. Lads like playing with him. I remember when I was just at the end of my tenure at Chiefs, and he was some 17-year-old kid from Plymouth College. And he was ordering me around the field at 32 years of age with 100-odd games for the club. I thought, oh, that's not bad, that. And now he's had another 5 years to grow into his skin. He's one hell of a player.
So with your connections, are you going to get him in for the podcast?
Yes.
We need Slade.
But what we'll do when we get Slade in is we'll have a real advance warning, because it'll be like a teen band or something. We'll have girls screaming at the doors and what have you.
We talked about that on the last podcast with Jack Noel's fan club. They appear on Facebook every time he's at the club.
Did you see the pictures of him in the Times as well?
No.
With his tattoos. He's naked with tattoos in the Times on Saturday.
Yeah, he's basically...
Let me get on Google. The Times, Jack Noel. What's this?
It's on a paywall, but...
It's something about.
Oh Lord! How much did he get paid for that?
I think he feels guilty because he's not a fisherman, so he's covered himself in fish tattoos.
Oh yeah.
I
know this is a podcast, but you need to have a look at this. This is a special moment for Jack Noel.
I remember him when he didn't have any tattoos. That's how bad it is for me.
I remember seeing him in the stands a few seasons ago before he broke through to the team, and he looked so clean cut and young.
Yeah.
Now
he's just Hollywood. We'll have him in as well, don't worry. Once England are done, we'll get him in to review his time with England.
Do you just as a bit of insight, really? Do they communicate back with the Chiefs? Are they still normal people, or are they just bubbled when they're at England?
It's changed. Henry was explaining that in the past group, if you were announced in the EPS and you were injured, you would do all of your rehab with England. Whereas Eddie Jones has come in and said he would prefer guys to rehab where they're comfortable. So stay at your club. So Henry's had minimal contact with the England squad because he's doing rehab where he's comfortable. He goes and sleeps in his own bed, and it's a lot easier for him to recover quicker than it would be in a strange environment with a new physio.
So what about Jack? Are they on communications ban, or is he still a normal person? He can communicate with his mates.
He still talk with the boys. I think that his focus is slightly different to the Exeter Chiefs players, but I remember seeing the Saracens boys stood in the stands watching their game a couple of weeks ago. When they just beat Bath. So it's not military precision as perhaps it might have been in the previous group. I think Eddie Jones is quite keen to encourage a bit of individuality and free thinking.
News, views, and behind-the-scenes chat from Sandy Park. This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast.
Moving on from England and back to the networking event that we went to. So
yes.
It's one of sort of Sandy Park's business events that they run, and I came along last week, and Rob Hunter was talking and covered a fascinating wealth of information, and some of which I want to try and cover, but I don't know if I'll do it justice if I try and go into detail. But he was talking about the analysis that goes in with these guys. So it was a business breakfast, and he's talking about use of data for the business community to sort of get an insight into how they use it in a playing capacity. And how many slides was it he said is put together on the team?
No, so video analysis. So they'll have...
well, there was a presentation, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah. So the players get given the breakdown of a game, which is 63 slides after every game. 63 pieces of A4 paper.
Who puts that together?
That's Simon Norris, predominantly, who's the head analyst for the club.
So, modern rugby, can you explain that then? Because we come to the
videos are filmed. Videos are filmed by the analysts. We have a wide angle, a TV camera, a head-on, and a fisheye lens in the grandstand. So there's four angles for a home game. Every facet of play will be watched and clipped. So every catch, pass, tackle, ruck, maul. When you go to ruck, your first, second, third, or fourth entry in the ruck, and so forth. Coded up for the guys to look at, so they can analyse their game a lot quicker than sitting through. I mean, I remember in the old days we used to have a VHS video, and we'd rewind and fast forward to the points of contact. Now you can digitally go and watch your impact in a game. Well, if it was me, probably in about 1 minute. But for an Exeter Chiefs player, they'd probably get 20 minutes worth of clips that they can see. So everything that they've done within a game.
I've watched an interview with Rob Baxter, which I think you did actually at Sandy Park, and he talks about kind of how they feed back to the players. So every player gets a report back after the game, and they get their faults or mistakes. What is the terminology that they use?
The feedback. Oh, they have checks and highlights.
That's it.
Are the two. They're two of the things you want to look for, because obviously you're going to see your tackles, your rucks, your mauls, and what have you. But check is where there's perhaps something the coaches want to speak to you about. I'm 4 years out of it now, but from my time, I remember we played London Irish. A box kick went up, and I just ran straight ahead and didn't actually chase the kick. And Rob got the video and said, "Bentos, what were you thinking there?" And I said, "To be honest, Rob, I was just trying to breathe." And I just ran in a straight line, and Dylan Armitage ran right past me. And that would be a check. Whereas on the flip side, you might do a really good defensive line out, turn over a ball. That would be a highlight. So the idea is you're hunting highlights and trying to avoid the checks as best you can.
See, until the last week and a half, I've not realised that the guys are analysed in that much detail, and that goes to them on their iPad, doesn't it? So when they get their feedback,
this is
like
the next generation. I'm unaware of this. It will all be downloaded onto a server, and the boys can then have a look at their game and be self-aware of what they're doing. So they can then sit in with the coaches and break down what's gone well, what's gone badly, and to a lesser extent, the guys will know if they're going to be playing the next week because they'll realise if they've played well or badly.
And Rob Hunter was talking about how they get all of this data.
Yeah.
And as we said, there's slide after slide after slide after slide of it. And they break it down, don't they? And they only feed certain things to the players, don't they? And
yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well,
because that's where it tied to the business community.
I think the big thing was...
I've got to get rid of this picture of Jack Noel.
Yeah, so you're getting all excited about that, aren't you? They have a huge amount of data that they crunch through. So look into an opponent's game, they will have 1,050 or so clips of an opponent's game, every line out, catch, pass, tackle, ruck, maul, scrum, kick-off opportunities, blah, 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 blah. If you give all of those 1,000 clips to the players, then it's too much knowledge. So they will edit it down and give to the guys probably about 150 clips that the players will then look through themselves and ascertain what's important to report back to the rest of the community. So at the beginning of the week,
they take accountability for their own part of the pitch.
The coaches will have a huge amount of intelligence. They'll give a decent amount to the players. The players will chew that through and then report back to one another a small amount. And the idea is that at the beginning of the week, there'll be quite a lot of intelligence. By the end of the week, there'll be 3 key communications going into a game. And you know, it might be as simple as get off the floor, chase kicks, and speed up the play. But from that, the guys will be able to access a macropedic amount of knowledge that they've done through the week.
And Rob was talking about when they go away or the night before at home, they have what is it, like a one-to-one with one of the coaches?
Yeah, talk through their mindset, how they're prepping for the game. It's massive. It's massive getting the mental set right.
One of the other things that I found fascinating that Rob talked about, which can tie in really to when they have their one-to-ones, he was talking about the personality traits. So he was saying that certain players will come and they'll be very serious and they'll have analysed everything and they'll have their game plan. Some will come and want to talk about really random, stupid subjects.
Well, do you know what?
And then
today's podcast is basically Learn with Bentos and Rhino, because we've said you've got to look at Jack Noel on his naked stuff. There was something else we've got to research. If you've got,
we can't start giving listeners homework, Bentos.
You've got to go onto the Insights Discovery Colours charts. I'll give you that again. The Insights Discovery Colours charts.
Can you tell that me and Bentos both work in sales now?
And what you do on the Insights
personality analysis,
it breaks down the personality of people. And again, you're looking at the players, and the management want to know how to poke the players and how to impress a message onto them. So some of the guys will be fiery red, they're competitive, demanding, determined, strong-willed and purposeful. So they need to be sold, this is the task, and those boys are going to they're going to get after it. Some of them are cool blue, they're cautious, precise, deliberate, questioning and formal. So they need a bit of time to process and think of things. Other guys might be sunshine yellow, they're sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic and persuasive. So that they're a bit more sort of laid back and jolly, and they'll just sort of make do. And it was interesting to see how Rob Hunter categorised the squad in different ways, and how, depending on the opponents and the length of the training week, who they would trust to lead the culture in that week.
I was watching one of the clips on Chiefs TV where Rob Baxter was questioned about Jeff not being in the England squad, and he said, well, he's probably wrong side of 30. Mm-hmm. Is there any mention around the club of how that's upset him, or has he not said anything? There was a
thing on Twitter. I think it was Thomas Waldrom had a similar chat with Eddie Jones. He was the top try scorer in the Premiership last year, top try scorer in the Premiership this year.
He wasn't overly impressed, was he?
Well, he put on Twitter, how do I change my Wikipedia age? And then Jeff replied to him saying, I've tried, mate, it just keeps going back. So I think they're sort of aware of the fact that they're slightly longer in the tooth. And it's a difficult spot. I think Tom was always going to struggle because he hasn't really been in the system to an extent. I thought Jeff would have been in the mix.
How many caps has Tom got? Is it?
Tom's on about 12, I think.
And what about Jeff?
Jeff's 30 odd, I said.
So a lot.
And he's a British Lion. Test match British Lion, so you can't get much better than that.
Tweet your question at Exeter Chiefs. #Chiefs Podcast.
Irish away.
Tough game
on Sunday. What's Rob going to be saying now? Because this starts to feel a must-win game.
We've got the buffer between us and third place. We can lose a game. Well, from my perspective, we can. From the playing section, we can't. It's a tough one. They capitulate and fall over a bit early, put a professional performance in at Northampton. It's not winning. Right, let's chill out. We've got a long break before we got the Chiefs at our spot. That's what I think. I think that they'll be targeting their home games. You know they're due a victory. They're a decent outfit. They play okay. They've had their revolution, as they seem to have every year. New coaches, new players, blah blah blah. But
it's got them cemented at 12th.
Yeah, Majewski's a tough place to go. They're due a result. I think Rob will be saying you've got to maximise your performance. You've got to be on the button. If we prepare and do as well as we can, we should not have a problem. The performance should take care of itself. But you're going to meet blood and thunder and a team that's fighting, scrapping for their lives. It's not going to be easy.
Do you think there'll be many changes? I mean, by the time this is released, we might know, but at time of recording, we don't.
I think perhaps there might be a few, freshen it up a bit. And I also think that there is the spectre of Bath coming to us the following week, which is beyond the must-win game. You know, in my day, it was Plymouth.
Yeah.
But Bath seem to have taken the mantle of
it's
the
the
team.
rivalry, isn't it?
It's the team we have to beat.
Friendly in the stands, but we still want to win.
Oh, yeah. I think that's fair to say. So there's some big games coming off. I mean, on paper, it's second in the league, playing, what is it, second off bottom and fourth off bottom?
No, well, Irish are 12th, then, yeah.
Right.
Bath are 9th at the moment.
So we're playing two teams that we should really beat.
Before you go, Bentos, tell us again about this Rock Solid and why you've got shorts on.
We've been doing our boot camp just to prepare ourselves for a 15-kilometre run in the mud, in the cold, with obstacles. The thing is, Exeter Chiefs cameraman Barry Frost did it last year, but he did it dressed as a Spartan warrior, so it was just a loin.
I've seen the pictures of
just
that.
a loincloth. And he had to go off. He had to leave the course because he was on the verge of hypothermia. I think I've got my winter coat on. I've got a bit more jelly on me than Barry, so I should be okay. But I am genuinely nervous because I've never. I wore GPS as a player. I didn't cover 15 kilometres in the game.
So the Rock Solid raising money for ELF.
Exeter Leukemia Fund, which is part of the Exeter Foundation. www.justgiving.com / I think it's Chris Bentley 5.
This is the Exeter Chiefs Podcast.
So we've managed to pull off a second podcast.
I reckon we've got there. I don't know. I think there might have been a bit too much of me talking. I'll make sure we got somebody else in next time.
Don't worry, we'll edit that out anyway, Ben.
Right,
we've got 46 minutes of material. By the time we're finished, there'll be 15 minutes for the fans. Don't you worry. So, second podcast done. If you want to get in touch, we do want you to be part of this, and we're happy for you to come in as well. It's an open studio, really. As we said after the last podcast, or Stino pointed out, it was just like being down the pub.
Yeah.
So that wasn't me trying to do an accent, by the way. It actually just came out in that way.
I'll be honest, I didn't realise Stino was a son of Bangalore.
So if you want to come
just
in...
like being down the pub.
Just get in touch.
Thanks, Stino.
At Hex the Chiefs, hashtag Chiefs Podcast. And as we bring our guests through the studio, we want your questions. So thank you very much for listening. Keep feeding us your comments. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time with hopefully a guest if Bentos
We will have
pull
a
off
guest.
his so-called connections at the club.
Yes, we'll make it happen.
Your behind-the-scenes access to Sandy Park with Rhino and Bentos. The Exeter Chiefs Podcast.